Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is Omloop 2025. It is the first of the Belgium Spring Classics, so you know when it's an important race and you know the crowds are going to come out. Today's race is 197 kilometers, about 125 miles in length. We're talking 11 bergs at least and 10 or 12 cobble sections, and some of the cobbles are on the bergs, and the bergs are 15 to 20%. Now, they're not crazy long. We're talking about 900 meters to about 1.5 km, most of them, but they are difficult in terms of you come into them at complete left and right turns at almost a dead stop. They're narrow and you don't have much traction, so you want to come in with whatever speed you can carry and then go full gas up the climbs if you get the possibility. But that tactic works depending on what kind of team you have. If you have a sprinter team, you want all these climbs to go as soft and easy as they possibly can, and you want to keep your teammates around you because you want a field sprint. So if you have riders like Jasper Philipsen, the #1 sprinter in the world, you want a chance to bring him down with as many teammates as you possibly can and control the peloton. If you're Wout van Aert, well, he could be considered the #1 sprinter in the world too, but he's also a classic specialist, so you have the option of making it a bit harder, try to drop pure sprinters like Arnaud Delis and Jasper Philipsen from Alpecin to Koenig, so you don't have to deal with that top sprinter in today's Omloop. But when the cameras come on, we see it's 7 riders in the front group. We'll give them 6-minute gap. When we start looking back at the peloton, it's curb to curb. It's curb to curb because everybody knows once you come into 80 kilometers to go, the racing's going to start going full gas. But UAE team members have another idea of tactics. We're at about 92 kilometers to go, and UAE team members are trying to split the peloton up. I don't like this move. They do not need to be attacking on the flat cobblestone sections when there's not a ton of wind. If there is huge crosswinds coming from left to right or right to left, whichever direction you want to call it as a crosswind, this is a good plan if you got your whole team at the front to try to drill it, split it, see if you can blow it up, make it as hard as you can, isolate Wout van Aert, get rid of teammates of Jasper Philipsen, try to isolate Tom Pidcock, one of the favorites coming into this race too, and then attack with multiple numbers. But there's not enough wind, so they shut it down. We start seeing a nature break happen on the side of the road, so you know that was a knucklehead move because it's nervous in the peloton and no teams are on the front, but nobody wants to take control of the front of the peloton. They just want to stay at the front. Now I back the camera up to the beginning and we'll see that it was Jorgensen, Thies Benoot, Wout van Aert at the back of the peloton when the cameras come on. But as I said, that was over 95 kilometers to go. No worries. Now we see Jorgensen's always at the front of the peloton, but things start getting nervous as we come into this right and left, and the peloton's bunching and getting squeezed. As it's getting squeezed, riders are going to the left into the fencing, and riders are going over to the right, and we see my man Victor Kampenot's Visma Lease bike making his debut here for his new team. He goes straight into the back of the rider. You see his head hit the back of the rider, then he falls off to the right side of the road. He gets up quickly, hops on his bike. Once he gets back to the peloton, they're starting the next climb, but Victor Kampenot is having bike problems, so he's got to change because his gears aren't working right. As he gets on a new bike, he's going to start making his way to the back of the peloton, and Arnaud Delis is going to be the next victim of a flat tire. While he's getting his front tire fixed, you see him hand the bottle to the lady there just behind him as she's super excited because she just knows she got a bottle from the Belgium national champion racing the first Belgium Classic here in 2025. Arnaud Delis is going to have a rough time, though, as he gets a push. He gets back up and starts getting his way back up to near the back of the peloton when he realizes he's got some gear problems, too, so he's going to have to switch bikes. Going to take about 10 kilometers for Arnaud Delis to get to the back of the peloton, but before he got to the back, Tom Pidcock was having some of his problems for Q36.5 as he was having shoe issues. You see him take the shoe off, he gives it to the mechanic, and the mechanic's helping him put his shoe back on. He'll get to the back of the peloton just before Arnaud Delis reaches the back of the peloton. Now all the favorites are all compact. The group of 7 still up the road, but we're starting coming into about 50 kilometers to go, and we see Josh Tarling from Ineos throw in a solo attack. The group of 7's now at about 1:30, 1:40 up on the time there of Josh Tarling from Ineos as he's trying to close the gap. What's happening in the back? Well, the big guy, Wout van Aert's been at the back of the peloton with 47 kilometers to go. With 46, he's still at the back, and with 45, there's a crash from Gil Gilder, Soudal Quickstep, as Wout van Aert Aert's just in front of it, not tangled up in it, but still at the back of the peloton. We're coming into 43 kilometers to go. It's the Molenberg, and the group of 7 is still up the road, but their gap is just about a minute 25 seconds. As they start the Molenberg proper, we go back and look at the peloton. Peloton's curb to curb right now. Wout van Aert is not at the front. It's 44 kilometers to go, and I'll back it up just at 1K so I can show you Wout still out of position. But now as the peloton's coming up to Molenberg, we see that the American Jorgensen's in good position, the center of the peloton there. Bahrain Victorious is next to him to his left, if I remember correctly, and then all the way to the left is Soudal Quickstep. They have a sprinter, Paul Magnier, sitting there with 2 teammates in front of him, and on the right side, Alpecin de Koenig's on the right, trying to get control of this peloton as we head into the Molenberg. Soudal Quickstep will get short control of the peloton for a very short time, and then Alpecin de Koenig retake the front as they head into the left and start the Molenberg proper. With Alpecin de Koenig on the front, the cameras go to the back of the peloton, and you see the chaos for starting at the back. Now, we see Sylvain Dillier there from Alpecin de Koenig at the back, and we see his teammate Oscar Riesebeck. What does that mean? Well, when the cameras go back up front, it's Alpecin de Koenig drilling it up this climb up the Molenberg. Now they're going full gas with everything they got. 2 of their teammates are getting dropped at the back. That means they got 5 guys on the front right now going full gas. And we'll see Jorgensen from Visma Lease Bikes made the split. But guess what? The big guy from Visma Lease Bike, Wout van Aert, has not made the split. There's about, I'll call it about 25 guys in this front group, maybe 27, as the split's happening. And we see Visma Lease Bikes, Wout van Aert stuck in the second main group right now with just under 43 kilometers to go as they're going up the cobble climb. Now he does have some teammates. As we start looking at the pictures, he's got 3 teammates, and one's Thies Benoot, the other is Matthew Brennan, and the other one is Perstadt. With those 3 teammates and Wout van Aert, you see Wout trying to go across the gap, but then he decides wisely to sit up because he's got teammates back there, so this was a knucklehead move. Use your teammates if you can, because right now when we look at the front group in front of Wout van Aert, Alpecin de Koenig are driving it full gas 100% with everything they got. Now, when I'm watching it live, sitting on the Chesterfield, I start texting my boy Garrett. I said, this is not necessarily a good move. It looks like a fantastic move, doesn't it? When you're sitting there on the Chesterfield, you're like, Alpecin de Koenig got this stuff wrapped up. The big guy, Wout van Aert's getting dropped. Arnaud Delee's back there with Wout van Aert too, and Alpecin de Koenig are driving like crazy on the front. The problem is you have a sprinter, Jasper Philipsen, who may need help going into the finish, especially the last 10K to go, right? He's a sprinter. Sprinters know that everybody in the group around them, when you're the #1 ranked sprinter in the world, they're going to attack you left and right, and they are not going to come into the last bend with 400 meters to go, dragging Jasper Philipsen on their wheel if he has no teammates. It's going to be a tack fest. So this is not a good move. Why else is it not a good move? Well, you just went up the Molenberg full gas for no reason. You could have gone up the Molenberg super easy and saved the legs of your teammate and save your sprinter legs. Sprinters aren't strong out going up climbs. That's where they suffer the most. You want it to go fast on the flats and the descents, and you want the climbs to go as slow as possible. But Alpecin de Koenig are seeing blood in the water because they see Wout van Aert's been dropped. Problem is, I see it's 42 kilometers to go, and you got 5 Alpecin de Koenig riders there. Caden Grove's a lead-out guy, so how far is he going to go over these next climbs? Gianni Vermeersch, okay, he's a classic guy. He might pull out something. Zandra Mayus is up there, and Robbie Geese is up there. I know Robbie Geese can't do a ton of climbing. Zandra Mayus isn't going to be able to do a ton of climbing. It's questionable what I think about Gianni Vermeersch could pull out, but he is a classic guy. But I don't think Caden Groves can ride the front and make it over the climbs, so I don't like this. And again, Jasper Philipsen just went 100% up one of the climbs that his teammate made him do it. Well, they're going full gas. They're not listening to me, and you see them wrap up Josh Tarling, and shortly after that, they'll get the group of 7. Now, what's happening in the back? Well, Wout van Aert was drilling it like crazy. Finally, he started to blow, started drifting back, and Thies Benoot's on the front trying to close the gap. As Thies Benoot's closing the gap, that group is splitting in half, and we see Thies Benoot close the gap, but Wout van Aert is not in that front group. He's back there with Arnaud Delee, who's riding the front. It'll take just a little bit longer before we see Wout van Aert close the gap with 28 kilometers to go. Now, if I back the film up in that front group, just as those guys were getting caught, Zandra Mayus was getting dropped from Alpecin to Koenig. That means they're down to 4 guys right now. Now, as everything's come back together, there's going to be some more drama because today's race, I have not done it justice. It has been exciting from 95 kilometers all the way into now. And now we're seeing with 28 kilometers to go, Arnaud Delis coming out the back. Up front, though, we start seeing attacks from UAE Team Emirates as they're throwing in their tacks. It's getting brought back too. And then with 20 kilometers to go, we're coming into the last 3 climbs of today's Omloop. As they come into the town there and it narrows up, we see Alpecin de Koenigs on the front. Zandra Mayus was there. Caden Groves is there. Gianni Vermeersch, 3rd position. 4th position is Jasper Philipsen. Visma Lease Bikes. Wout van Aert's in the group. Jorgensen's in the group. It's still a large group, but they're coming into the last 3 climbs as we see Zandra Mayus drop to the back of the group. That means it's Caden Groves on the front. That means Caden Groves must have some bad legs because he's no longer going to be the lead-out man for Jasper Philipsen because they've ran their team too ragged here throughout Omloop, especially up the Molenberg. Now, once we come into the 3rd climb, we'll start seeing Jasper Philipsen's in fine position. He's got some company with Lewis Askey on the front as the climb is starting. Wout van Aert's in 7th. Now, they'll make it through this short climb, and then they're starting the Muur Kappelmuur. It is a famous climb here. They run it all the time up in these Belgium Classics. And as this climb starts proper, well, it's Tim Wellens throwing in an attack from UAE Team Emirates. As he's throwing in the attack, Jasper Philipsen's going to have to start doing some work because all his teammates are not at the front of the peloton because he used them all up. But he's in fine position and his legs are looking fantastic. As Tim Wellens is stretching out the peloton, he'll start to back off, and then we'll see Vasek from Lidl Trek throw in his attack. When he's throwing in the attack, this is blowing up this group of about 70 riders, and we're going to see Vasek going over the top with Tim Wellens close behind, and then a group of 15 with Wout van Aert, Jasper Philipsen, Matteo Jorgensen from Visma Lease Bike, Wout's teammate. He's made the group, but we look further down and see what was happening to Tom Pidcock. He's struggling as the group is splitting in half, and 15 riders are up in the front group. Wout van Aert's throwing in attack, but that's covered right away. And then we're going to see Jorgensen have to start covering moves and riding the front. In the back with 15 kilometers to go, the last 3 riders you start seeing coming up to Tom Pidcock's second group up there, we're going to see it's Astana riders, Case Bowles. He's got some speed. Mike Tunison has some speed. And then you see Uno X Soren Vorenskol there, and he's got some speed. These are the last 3 riders bridging up to the group. They're being led with Tom Pidcock and EF Education on the front, drilling it like crazy, trying to close up the Wout van Aert's group of about 15 riders. As we hit the last and final climb, the Bosberg with 13 kilometers to go. Vasek is again aggressive, but Wout van Aert's all over it. They'll go over the top of this climb, 15 guys in attack, and still we start seeing attacks happening all over the place, but it'll take till 10 kilometers to go that we see Stefan Kuhn from FDJ, the Swiss rider, throw in his attack. He's going solo. We see Jorgensen has some hesitation back there, and now you got to understand, if you're Jorgensen, it's time to start riding the front because the only card left is you got to lead out Wout van Aert out of the final corners here at Omloop if you want a shot at winning, as Stefan Kuhn's going solo. Now 8 kilometers to go, just 2 kilometers after the attack from Stefan Kuhn, we see the group from behind with EF Education leading it, latch on to the front group in front. Now we got a big peloton once again with 8 kilometers to go. 5 kilometers to go. Finally, teams are getting organized. We got 5 teams on the front back there. Uno X is on the front. We see EF Education's there. Visma Lease Bikes, Ties Benoot's back in the picture. Jorgensen's up there pulling like crazy. Soudal Quickstep's in the picture, and Alpecin de Koenigs there with 5 teams pulling in a 15-second gap up to Stefan Kuhn. You know it's going to be a field sprint at this moment. So those teams are pulling like crazy. Stefan Kuhn's throwing everything into it because he knows he doesn't have any legs to sprint. So as he's going full gas, Jorgensen's closing up the gap with 1.1 kilometer to go as they're coming into the left turn. The American comes out. He goes under the Flamme Rouge, looking back under his shoulder. As he's looking back, he knows he's got Wout van Aert somewhere back there. So he pulls to 900 meters to go. Then he's done. Now it's time for Yves Lamparts to go to work on the front just at about 900 meters. he starts pulling full gas. He'll blow as he comes into the right bend with about 650 meters to go. We start looking at some of the favorites. Wout van Aert still far back to the left side of the peloton there. He's got Jasper Philipsen on his wheel. We start looking up at the front there. We see it's two Lidl Trek riders up there, and we see it's two Ineos riders. The Ineos riders are Josh Tarling and Samuel Watson. They're in fine position because next up, after we see Pseudo Quickstep blow, it's Gianni Vermeersch from Alpecin de Koenig with 400 meters to go, hitting the front. Still going through the bend here. As he's going through the right bend, it's getting crazy and everything's getting tighter. Wout van Aert starting to move up on the left side, but he's still far back, and Jasper Philipsen's behind him. We start looking as we see Gianni Vermeersch blow. It's time right now for Ineos to go to work. Josh Tarling. Josh Tarling takes the reins at the front because Samuel Watson believes he can win today's Omloop. As Josh Tarling's going full gas, we come into 250 meters to go. We'll see Josh look back over his shoulder. He's done. We see Lidl Trek. Lidl Trek's Jasper Stuyven's looking over his shoulder at the same time. He's done, but he's got Vasek there that wants to do the sprint. Now we see Samuel Watson hit out just about 250 meters to go as his teammate's done on the front. He goes full gas at 200 meters to go. Jasper Philipsen starting his sprint from around Wout van Aert back there on the left side of the peloton. As he starts his sprint, we go another 50 meters to go, and it's Søren Vorenskol starting his sprint. As Søren Vorenskol is pushing his way out, if I back the film up just a hair, you'll see where he bumped there with Vasek, but now he started to sprint. They're coming into about 150 meters to go. They're three wide with Ineos, with Alpecin de Koenig's Jasper Philipsen, and with Søren Vorenskol going full gas, but Ineos Samuel Watson's blowing on the right side. As he blows, we start looking at another rider, the fourth rider coming in the picture, because that's Paul Magnaire from Pseudo Quickstep. As he started his acceleration at 100 meters to go, now at 75, we're three wide again, but only Samuel Watson's drifting back on the right side, but the other three riders still don't know who's going to win today's race. As it's a drag race coming into 50 meters to go, all of a sudden we get into 10, it's still three wide, and then with about 2 meters to go, we see a little bit of an early bike throw here from Alpecin de Koenig's Jasper Philipsen. He throws first, but he's coming up short and starting to drift, so it's a two-way fight here for the line as Søren Vorenskol throws his bike. The same time, Paul Magnaire from Pseudo Quickstep throws his bike. But Søren Vorenskol from Uno X will win today's Omloop News Blonde here to take the first of the 25 classic season victories here for Uno X. Congratulations. That was a magnificent first day classic here up in Belgium. And Søren Vorenskol, you were the last to make it onto this group that I saw by camera anyways. Fantastic job to suffer over the climbs. Rode at the back of the peloton coming all the way into the finish. And when I show you on the right side there's Søren Vorenskol. He's still a little blocked up and about the same position as Wout van Aert, more or less. Once we get a little bit further, as I told you live, he bumped shoulders there with Vasek from Lidl Trek, found his way out, threw in a huge acceleration, held off the #1 sprinter in the world, Jasper Philipsen, and one up-and-coming sprinter, Paul Magnaire, to win today's Omloop. Congratulations. Magnificent result and a fantastic first classic here of the 25 season. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next Butterfly Effect real soon.